Although there have been 6 debates in the 2020 Democratic primary already, next Tuesday's clash in Iowa is the first to actually take place in 2020. And, barring any wild, last-minute changes, we'll get to Thursday's flurry of polls in a second. It will be the most exclusive event yet, with only 6 candidates making the cut. The deadline for qualifying polls to drop is midnight tonight, so a couple more polls may still drop today. We're fairly confident in the debate roster at this point, though, because no one else is close to qualifying. Although, never say die, maybe Bloomberg surprises us with a donor announcement, as 2 polls from Fox News dropped late Thursday, putting billionaire activist Tom Steyer on the debate stage. In the end, he qualified for the debate via the early state polling method, at least 7% in 2 early state polls, picking up a startling 15% in South Carolina. He'd hit 4% previously in October, and 12% in Nevada, 5% previously in November. So far, he's the only candidate to have qualified solely via the early state method. As for the 5 other candidates who have made it, 4 of them sit above 5% in the national polls: former Vice President Joe Biden, Sen. Bernie Sanders, Senator Elizabeth Warren, and former South Bend, Indiana, Mayor Pete Buttigieg. As for Sen. Amy Klobuchar, she, like Steyer, is polling below 5% nationally. She's at 3% on average. Steyer's at 2%, but she's still managed to crack 5% in 6 polls, a mix of early state and national surveys, to qualify. 6 candidates made the January debate. Democratic presidential candidates asterisk by whether and how they have qualified for the January debate, as of Jan. 10 at 6 a.m. No. I've qualifying polls met threshold for candidate all is greater than or equal to 5%, early state is greater than or equal to 7%, polls 225K, donors qualified: Joe Biden 1612, Bernie Sanders 1612, Elizabeth Warren 1612, Pete Buttigieg 15.9, Amy Klobuchar 6.2, Tom Steyer 3.2, Michael Bloomberg 5.0, Andrew Yang 1.0, Cory Booker 0.0, Michael Bennet 0.0, John Delaney 0.0, Tulsi Gabbard 0.0, Deval Patrick 0.0, Marianne Williamson 0.0 asterisk for candidates considered major, by 538. To qualify for the 7th debate, a candidate must reach 5% support in at least 4 national or early state polls, or 7% support in at least 2 early state polls from qualifying polling organizations. Candidates must also have at least 225,000 unique donors, including at least 1,000 donors in at least 20 states or territories. Information released by campaigns is used to determine whether a candidate has hit the donor threshold. If a campaign announced it had reached 225,000 donors but did not say whether it had at least 1,000 donors in 20 states or territories, we assumed that it had met the latter requirement as well. Sources: polls, campaigns, media reports. Just to refresh, the Democratic National Committee's qualification rules require candidates to earn 5% support in at least 4 national or early state polls, or 7% support in at least 2 early state polls, from qualifying polling organizations released between November 14 and January 10. For the early state threshold, multiple polls from the same pollster in the same state count. Greater than 1 candidates must also have at least 225,000 unique donors, including at least 1,000 donors in at least 20 states or territories. We rely on self-reported figures from the campaigns for candidates' fundraising numbers, and we've assumed that candidates who have reported having at least 225,000 donors overall also have at least 1,000 donors from each of 20 states or territories. Greater than 2 is for the other major candidates still in the race. Only billionaire and former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg has reached the polling threshold. But because he isn't seeking donations, he's unlikely to attract enough individual contributors to qualify for the debate. But that probably doesn't faze Bloomberg much, as he said making the debates isn't really part of his strategy. Tech entrepreneur Andrew Yang and Senator Cory Booker have enough donors to qualify, though Rep. Tulsi Gabbard is also close to the donor threshold, but have likely come up short on the polling front. Yang was the only other candidate to pick up a qualifying poll, but he needs 3 more to make it, or to hit at least 7% in 2 early state polls. Meanwhile, the rest of the field didn't pick up a single qualifying survey, including Booker and Gabbard. Until Thursday, there had been a pronounced dearth in polling since late December, with only 2 qualifying polls released since the DEC 19 debate. The lack of polling prompted Yang to ask the DNC to sponsor some surveys, but the DNC declined to do so, telling the New York Times that the organizations on the DNC's polling list should conduct more independent polling. Of course, many pollsters avoid polling during holiday periods because of depressed response rates, which is one reason there are fewer qualifying polls this time around. But another culprit for the lack of polls may be the ongoing impeachment of President Trump. Conducting high-quality polls is expensive, and some pollsters may have prioritized surveys on that question over horse race polls of the Democratic primary, as impeachment, not Iowa, was the political story of December. But then it started raining polls on Thursday, when 3 new surveys came out. At least 1 more poll is expected Friday, though that wouldn't be enough to change things for any of the candidates on the outside looking in. The Iowa caucuses are now only roughly 3 weeks away, and Tuesday's debate, held in Des Moines, Iowa, is the last debate before the voting starts. A lot is at stake in this debate too, especially considering a recent CBS News YouGov poll found that a majority of potential caucus goers still haven't definitely decided on their candidate choice, although 57% said they probably had. But next week, they and the rest of the country will get one more look at these 6 candidates before the voting starts, and with more voters likely paying attention, it's possible that this debate could shake things up headed into Iowa. Let's block ads. Why?